Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Blue Heron Hill. I'm Sue outside my greenhouse, which means my Greenstalks. Now, I have totally pulled out the remnants of my very abundant lettuce crop. And usually I use Greenstalks for lettuce. All of my other plants find nice niches inside my garden. And I just use the Greenstalk for leafy lettuce and even some head lettuce. I think one Greenstalk, the one with the 7 short layers, like this one down here, this greenish one here, that one had strawberries in it. And I was very, very jazzed to have strawberries growing and being able to, just pick them out of the Greenstalk. I wasn't really pleased, not with the way that the strawberries grow in the Greenstalk. That's not the issue here. It was with the variety. To me, they didn't taste very sweet. So I decided just to let it go. I actually just let them die. They were burnt and crispy, and the soil was all dried out, and I just pulled them out and I just composted all those strawberries. I just looked at my compost pile and some of those strawberries are growing again. So as a gardener, you just can't stop Mother Nature doing what Mother Nature does best, growing things. Anyway, so now's time that I have to revitalize my Greenstalk. I'm getting into the period of the summer where I need to start my fall gardens, and that is the perfect time to start some lettuces. I do have brassicas in the greenhouse that are going out in a day or two into my garden as soon as I get that bed prepped. But what we're going to do today is I'll show you what I do to kind of revitalize the soil in my Greenstalks. They spent a season, spring and early summer, providing lots of nutrients to my lettuces, and I got just an overabundance of lettuce to be able to, have wonderful, wonderful salads and plenty to share with family and friends. So, but that leaves this soil in really poor shape. Let me show you what I do to revitalize my Greenstalk to get it ready for new plantings for my fall garden. Let's do it. Okay, I've already taken out, when I removed some of the old lettuce that had bolted, I removed the root ball and everything and just tossed that into the compost pile. So I've gone down, not even halfway in this pot. Now, in a past video, I would take all of this out and just mix it all together with some new amendments and then put it back in here. I'm being a lazy gardener this time, so I'm just going to take out perhaps at least some of this chunky stuff. And there we go, and loosen it up because it has kind of compacted down after all the watering and the root structures that have gone through this soil. So, still a little moist down there. I'm very, very surprised. So, now comes time. What I do is I'll take a little all-purpose fertilizer, and on this layer, just a scant tablespoon on this middle layer of soil here. Now, I don't know what your preference is for potting soil, I went to my local nurseries, and Natalie's had this Coast of Maine organic and natural. Looked real good to me. I used some in my spring containers. Worked great. There are plenty of different varieties out there. So I'm going to just top these off with some of this, mix it in just a little bit. I've taken these two down about halfway, sprinkled a little bit of these all-purpose time-release fertilizer. And then I've got my compost or my potting mix here. And I'm going to fill this up. There we are, filled it. Might need a little bit more. This is really light and fluffy and not as compacted as the lower soil in each one of these. And it will, over time, compact down also. Now, a little tip for green stalks. If you're assembling these yourself, you're going to want to assemble them while the soil is pretty dry. If you water it now, it becomes 3 times as heavy as it is now. And to get that top tier up there is pretty difficult. So, there we go. I find once you get it all topped off and you get these all set in the tiers here, if these pockets need to be filled a little bit more, you can fill them from the outside. Okay, now what I do is I put one little scant tablespoon on that middle layer, and now I'm going to put a little bit on these top layers here. That'll give those new plantings a real good head start. Scratch it in just a little bit. You want that fertilizer incorporated into the soil and not against any roots that you put in there. It might burn it out. Because I'm going to put seedlings in here. And some seeds, some seedlings. So now comes the little water reservoir. Each water reservoir has a little hole that corresponds to the little pocket here. So you want to line that up so the hole is directed to each one of the pockets. So I'm going to put these up and stack them up on the Greenstalk, and I'll be back. All right, there we are. This is my 5-tiered, very deep pocketed Greenstalk, all the way down there, all the way to up. Fairly well balanced. It probably could use a little bit of a shimming on the one side, but we'll go with this. Okay, here's the top reservoir, and again it has corresponding little holes that position themselves over each one of the pockets. So, and that snaps into each one of these. Before I plant anything in here, I'm going to water this and it's going to take a while to water. If you saw my video, I talked about watering in gardens. Right now, this soil is what's called hydrophobic, meaning it's afraid of the water, or it will not absorb water thoroughly. It will find its path of least resistance, which would be through molecules that are very dry. So I'm going to be watering this over the whole course of the day. And then when I feel it's fully saturated, I have a meter that will register moisture. And once I detect that the moisture throughout these whole pockets is fully drenched, then I will plant my seedlings. Let me show you what I have to plant this year. Here I have the varieties that I'm going to be planting in my Greenstalk. Muir, Reno, this is Cherokee, and I'll put the name of this one down in the description or just right below here. I've lost the tag for that one. But anyway, these are a summer variety, very heat tolerant. And so a couple of these are new this year for me to try, and I'm going to give them a shot in my Greenstalk, especially since we've got hot days of August here, and maybe even some hot ones into September. But after that, things will cool down plenty. Now I have about 24. There's one spot missing here, so it's 23. So I'm going to have some pockets in my Greenstalk, which I will seed some of these by seed into those other pockets. But that's what's going into this Greenstalk. Now the other Greenstalk I have out there is going to be planted with some other lettuces, and I'll get to that. And that's going to be planted up the same exact way. Here it is, all planted up. As you can even see, I've saved some, I think this is portulaca, and I put back in the pockets. That is here's a big one here. That is a drought-loving plant. But I've got all different varieties on every level here. Here's the Muir. Oh, the one that was missing was red romaine. So off they go. Here's the Greenstalk, all planted up with those little seedlings. There were some vacant spots here in a couple of these cubbies, and I put some seeds in a few of those. Here you can see I've got the labels. This tier has the Muir in it. This one, red romaine, that was the one that was missing the label. I found the label. And then there's a Cherokee, and then there's a Reno. So now I just have to sit back, water it, maybe give it a little fish fertilizer every couple weeks to keep it hydrated. I wanted to show also, here's a couple portulacas, great drought tolerant flower that actually survived the drought that I put this Greenstalk through. Thanks for following along on this video, and until the next time that we can go digging in the dirt, happy gardening. Bye.